Dope, 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 let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick, I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers.
Within the underworld, there were devils of all types who harbored all sorts of abilities and powers. One of those devils wasn't gifted at all, as he was the lowest of the low. He had no abilities, strength, or power. He was simply a weakling. However, he was lucky, as he somehow slipped into the human world by chance. He ended up in a village where he hid among the shadows until a woman had found him. Her red hair called to him, and she would bring the small devil into her home. The woman was Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina brings him into her home and names him Libe. Once Minato came home that night, he actually wouldn't mind either, as he even tries to teach him the Rasengan and many other shinobi-like skills, seeing Libe as another son. 2 years then go by before the Nine-Tails attack would happen. Libe was here as well, and he ran up to Minato, who was about to steal the Nine-Tails within himself and the newly born Naruto. Libe asked instead to be sealed due to his powers awakening in the months earlier. Minato understands and seals the Nine-Tails within himself and Kushina, while using the last bit of his chakra to seal Libe within his younger brother, Naruto. Years then go by, and Naruto's chakra seemed to be non-existent. All living things in the world have chakra, but Naruto seemed to be an anomaly. Hiruzen would constantly have Hyuga clan members check the boy for his chakra points and lines, but it seems he has none at all. Hiruzen couldn't figure out what was going on here, because it should be the opposite. There was no seal on the boy's stomach, so he couldn't be the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki either. This puts Naruto at the bottom of Hiruzen's priority list, even though he is the Hokage's son. Naruto was heavily neglected here, and decides one night to just leave the village. The season was winter, and the snow was falling hard, so this was the perfect time to escape, while it would be hard to track him down because of the snow covering his footprints, and that night Naruto would leave. Naruto wouldn't be able to see where he was going, but he knew that he just wanted to leave his old home, find somewhere where he'd be appreciated, somewhere he could be useful. A snowstorm would start, and he takes refuge within a small cave. Naruto keeps running for weeks until he passes out in the snow due to not having any food. A group of people would find the child's cold, fragile body, and they take it back with them to their home. When Naruto awakens, there was a group of people in front of him. The two darker-skinned men with blonde hair and a woman with black hair who would just leave the room. Naruto, since he woke up so abruptly, couldn't really tell what they were saying, but they had to be talking about him. Who else? The two men then notice that he's awake and sit down near him. The taller of the two sits down right next to Naruto and smirks. "Boy, do you know who your father is?" Naruto shakes his head no, and the man continues. "I fought against him many times in battle. He was a strong, noble shinobi. If he was still alive to this day, I do believe we'd be great friends. Why did you run from your home?" Naruto explains what's been happening throughout his life, and then explains how he has no chakra. But he then decides to ask a question. If he could stay in this village instead. "You said you have no chakra, is that right?" Naruto nods, and the Raikage stands up. "Find a way to become useful to me, even without chakra." Hearing this inspired Naruto to begin his own training immediately. If he couldn't use chakra, then he'd become good at everything else. As soon as he was well, he began sword training, The Raikage was pleased by this, and actually has Naruto live with him and Killer Bee. So, there were also high-level Jonin instructors that would train Naruto. However, Naruto took this training more seriously than anything else in his life. After a couple months of this, the Raikage would be asked by his advisor while in his office, why even save that boy? Even if he doesn't know it himself, he's special. There's something about him that separates him from those around him. He was able to survive in a snowstorm without food for quite some time. That's remarkable for a child that age. This kid is going to turn into something scary. After all, he's the son of that man. This is when we see Naruto training harder than ever before. He was still young, but you could see the passion burning in his eyes. His instructor would use a lightning-style jutsu that launches towards him at great speed. He was already bleeding from his head as he was injured, watching this lightning bolt come straight at him. However, this lightning began to slow down as the words of the Raikage rang throughout Naruto's head. Become useful. Yeah, that's right. I have no other choice but to become stronger. I need to gain more power in order to keep living here. No, that's just a simple goal. I need to think further. I need more power to keep surviving in this world. That's more like it, younger brother. As Naruto hears this new voice inside his mind, one of his eyes go red as dark marks appear on his skin and cover his blade completely. He swings this dark blade, cutting through the lightning bolt, splitting it in half as the explosion then happens from behind him. The dust would clear, and we see a horn coming from one side of his head. His instructor steps back for a moment, but then has a smile on his face, remembering that he can't discriminate against this kid because he essentially is the son of the Raikage. Well, I'll be damned, kid. You sure are something special after all. But that doesn't mean your training is done. At the end of the day, the instructor tells the Raikage about everything that happened, and he would go to see Naruto once he's all done with his office paperwork. He walks into his home to see Killer Bee rapping while laying on the couch. Where's Naruto? Killer Bee then tells his brother that Naruto's in the back. The Raikage goes back there, and he sees Naruto sitting still in his demonic form while meditating. He calls out to the boy, but there was no response. Within the mind of Naruto, he was floating around in a red area in front of a demonic silhouette. Who are you? It's about time we met, Naruto Uzumaki. You know my name, but I've never met you. Well, you would have earlier if things had went normal that night. But it's fine. We can meet this way too. But I also had to wait until you were strong enough to actually make contact with you. But this is all I can do for now. So remember these words. Just keep growing stronger, and soon the truth will be revealed to you. The demonic figure consumes Naruto's arm, leaving a small seal of some sort around his wrist. When Naruto awakens, he feels different and still sees that marking, but this time it's red. So, something changed Naruto. He turns to see his father figure standing behind him. Yeah, I finally figured out a way to become useful. That's good. But your actions will speak louder than your words. Naruto nods and continues this training for another 5 years before he graduated to the rank of Genin. He was placed on a 3-man squad with Omui and Karui. These three were already close friends, and they already worked great together. Their sensei would be Darui, a highly ranked and trusted shinobi within the village. A couple weeks go by of this team doing missions until the Raikage calls them into his office. He explains that he's already registered them for the Chunin exams within the Leaf Village, and Naruto is excited due to knowing his origins, so he feels as if he needs to prove himself here. The team will leave the cloud that night and travels to the Leaf Village. When they arrive, they walk through the gate, and Naruto smiles, remembering how bad his life used to be. This makes him appreciate everything else that he has now. His sensei goes to check them into the hotel and tells them to walk around and explore for a little bit. Naruto decides to take this chance to take both his teammates to the ramen shop that he used to go to as a kid. As they walk towards it, they heard someone call out Naruto's name. He turns around to see Sasuke, Sakura, and someone else that he doesn't know, but we know this person is Sai. Naruto, don't tell me that's you. Are you still a weakling with no chakra? Sasuke and Sakura begin to laugh, but Naruto releases a cold bloodlust. What is this? Naruto's eye then goes red as he speaks. Even without chakra, I'm far stronger than you, Sasuke. Sasuke compares this feeling to the bloodlust of Haku, but this is even more intense than that. Sasuke decides to activate his Sharingan and attack Naruto as he jumps forward towards Naruto, who then punches him back. If you want to fight, then I'll catch you in the Chunin exams. Omui and Karui both dash past Naruto and Sasuke, causing Naruto to also smirk. When Sasuke turned around, both Sai and Sakura were pinned to the ground by each of Naruto's teammates. Don't forget, Sasuke, this won't be a battle just between us. You better hope the trash you call teammates can keep up as well. All three of them then vanish, causing Sasuke to be angry at not only himself, but his team as well. While this went on, Naruto went off to find some others in the Leaf who actually cared about him while he was here. He goes back to the academy to find Iruka doing paperwork. Hey there, Iruka-sensei. The older man stands up immediately, having tears swell in his eyes while looking at the yellow-haired kid. Is that really you, Naruto? You're so big now. Man, time has passed, hasn't it? Yeah, it's me, Iruka. I found my own way of strength, just like you wanted. Iruka walks over hugging Naruto, telling him that he's proud of him. Naruto thanks him and tells him to make sure he doesn't miss the Chunin exams, as that's the whole reason he's here. Iruka was surprised, but then he looks at Naruto's headband and smirks, being happy that he found somewhere where he could belong. Naruto then heads off to the hotel, and the next day will be the first part of the exams, and Team Darui passed this part with no difficulty at all, as after this will be the Forest of Death. Once they were inside and had their scroll, Omui turns to Naruto. So, what's the plan, Naruto? You two should already know who our targets are. Karui smirks. I'm gonna punch that pink-haired brat in her face. I already know which way they went, so follow me. They follow Naruto, who speeds through the forest, and now they were right above Team 7. Omui pulls out his blade and jumps down on Sai, causing him to block. Sakura is also sent flying by Karui, and Sasuke watches as Naruto slowly walks towards him with a black blade. Isn't this what you wanted, Sasuke? Sasuke then performs a fireball jutsu, launching it down at Naruto, who slices through it with no effort at all. Those attacks won't work on me. The young Uchiha then rushes Naruto, swinging his leg, but Naruto ducks under and cuts him across his cheek with his blade. Sasuke backs up in response, holding his face and looking at the blood on his fingers. Stop playing around, Sasuke. Don't tell me that you've wasted all this time and haven't gotten stronger at all. At least give me a real challenge. Shut your mouth, Naruto. Someone like you, with no chakra, has no right to talk down on me, someone of the Uchiha clan. Naruto puts his hand over his eyes and tilts his head back as he smiles, while a dark chakra arises from around his body. You truly don't understand that I'm more gifted than anyone you'll ever know. It may be true that I don't have chakra, but what if I told you that chakra attacks and jutsu don't work against me? I'd call you a liar, because that should be impossible, Naruto. Maybe you'll believe it after I show you. One side of Naruto's hair then turns black as that eye would go red. Eventually, this transformation is accompanied by a dark wing and a horn, along with dark marks as well. At the same time, when Omui and Karui sense Naruto's power, they both begin to get serious as well. Omui creates a black lightning that swirls around his body and blade, while Karui has white lightning that gives her a cat-like transformation. Think of it like Yoruichi from Bleach. Karui looks at Sakura and gets on all fours, dashing around the forest. Sakura wouldn't even be able to keep up, and Karui gets right behind her, landing a drop kick to her spine that sends her crashing into a tree face first, knocking her. Well, she was barely conscious from this one attack, but Karui kept attacking until she was in critical condition. After Sakura passes out, the white lightning would vanish from her body, and Karui takes the scroll. I can't believe the Leaf has weaklings like you as shinobi. We went over to Omui, who was cutting through all of Sai's drawings with ease. The black lightning began to form a dragon that followed his blade closely until he was right in front of Sai. Black lightning sword style, dragon rush. Omui then lands a flurry of continuous strikes that all land, leaving Sai knocked out while also leaking a lot of blood. Omui sheathed his blade and puts a toothpick back in his mouth. And when we make it back to Naruto and Sasuke, Naruto was fully transformed and Sasuke was getting flashbacks to that dreadful day. But why that day? Why was Naruto's demonic transformation reminding him of what he felt that day when his family had died? No, when his family was killed. Was Naruto present that day? No, he couldn't have been, because he had already left the Leaf Village by that time. So, who was it? Sasuke, angered by this feeling, snaps back into reality using the Chidori, which he learned earlier in this story, rushing at Naruto, pulling up rubble as the lightning strikes against the ground. He extends his arm out towards Naruto, trying to just end the battle, but Naruto catches his hand, and the lightning vanishes. What a pitiful strike of lightning. You can't even compare to what my teammates can do with that element. With one slice of his blade, he cuts Sasuke across his chest and leaves him there on the ground bleeding. The wound isn't deep enough to kill him, but Sasuke wouldn't be able to move for a while. Naruto releases this demonic power and meets up with his team to see that Karui has a scroll that they needed. Good job, Karui. Now we can head to the tower. As they jump from branch to branch, Naruto asked how their fights went. The pink-haired girl was weak. I didn't even need to reveal my trump card. The only thing I did was transform it in the battle quickly. Omui then tells Naruto that his fight was a little more challenging, so he revealed one of the moves created from his sword style. Both of them then ask how Naruto's fight went. It went well. I think he finally understands what makes us so different now. Anyway, if either of you loses in the next part, you'll have to answer to me. We already got the intel from the Raikage that says the final part is a one-on-one battle, sort of like a tournament. Both Karui and Omui get chills down their spine from Naruto's cold voice. They make it to the tower first, and Team 7 doesn't make it at all. So I'll basically be replacing them essentially. The first match was Omui versus the Sound Shinobi. The fight begins, and it's honestly scary. Omui's speed is far ahead of the shinobi, as he can't even react. All the other senseis take note of this out loud, but Darui begins to explain. The Cloud Village only entered one team, due to this team being full of prodigies. Each one of them was trained by the Kage at one point in their life, and each has their own unique fighting style that represents who they are. Omui then shows off the Black Lightning sword style, this time forming a lion instead of a dragon. He cuts off the arm of his opponent, and the fight stops as he gets the win. The next fight we see is, from this team, is Ino versus Karui. The fight begins and Ino is able to invade the mind of Karui, causing her teammates to get excited. However, Naruto turns to Shikamaru. If I was her, I'd want to stay out of her mind. Why do you say that? Well, she's a little insane, but don't tell her I said that. We look back down at the battle to see white lightning erupt from the center of the arena, causing everyone to be blinded. The light goes away as we see Ino raised in the air, holding someone's arm trying to breathe, as we see Karui's lightning hand. She squeezed her hard until she gives up, giving her the win. Hiruzen himself was impressed by the Cloud Village's shinobi, but he wonders what Naruto was able to do. He did overhear the conversation between the sensei, but he doesn't know how Naruto was considered a prodigy if he has no chakra and isn't able to perform any jutsu, let alone become a Chunin ninja. Naruto's fight would still be against Kiba, and both fighters begin to jump down into the center of the arena. Might Guy then turns to Darui. Someone makes him a prodigy. Darui begins to laugh while leaning over the railing. I don't think he'll reveal his trump card in this battle, but I can say one thing. Naruto is so good with the blade that he's even able to go head to head with me and the 8-tailed Jinchuriki back at home. He's actually been recognized by the Raikage so much so that he's been adopted as his own. The Raikage holds Naruto to a standard high above any other shinobi that lives in the village. Kiba and Akamaru perform a fang over fang, but with one swift movement. Naruto takes them down, leaving them on the ground bloody. He sheathes his blade and jumps back to where his team was sitting. Everyone was shocked as the fight only lasted seconds and they barely saw Naruto move. The teams would then be given, once the rest of the matches conclude, The teams would then be given a month of training time before the exams are said to continue, and the Cloud team decides to travel back home to train. Darui takes Omui and Karui to train with himself and the Raikage, while Naruto goes off with his uncle, as he takes him away from the village to begin their own training in a location where no one will interrupt them. Killer B then explains with a rap that Naruto's power is sort of like a tailed beast, so he needs to connect with that power in order to use it to its fullest ability. Naruto sits down and enters his demonic form while meditating. When he opens his eyes, he was in the area just like before to see the silhouette of the demon. You said you would explain everything to me once I've gotten stronger, and that the truth would be revealed. Yes, it seems you've grown quite a bit since the last time I've seen you, and you've mastered the small amount of my power that I've lent you. I will only say this once, so make sure you listen closely, Naruto. The demon then explains its origins and Naruto's past, leading up to the moment that he was sealed inside of Naruto. On the outside, Killer B jumps back as Naruto's dark aura shoots up into the sky. He readies himself for a battle just in case, but what emerges from this pillar of darkness was Naruto that was in a different form than the one he sat down in. This demonic form was more developed than the one before, with Naruto's strength feeling overwhelming in this moment. Killer B then noted that his connection to the Eight Tails also seemed weaker when in Naruto's presence. Naruto looks at his hand to see it completely black with red glowing in the cracks. Naruto was surprised. As he gripped his blade in his other hand, he turned towards the mountains and swung the blade, causing a dark energy to fly out from it and slash deep within the mountain. Naruto instantly fell out of this form and slammed his hands to the ground, having tears in his eyes while making a promise to kill the masked man no matter what. The month of training goes by faster than expected, as Naruto was now so much stronger than before. When they returned to the Leaf for the Chunin exams, the first match would be Naruto versus Neji. Naruto jumps down, more serious than ever, and many take note that he now had a second blade on his waist. Neji calls out to Naruto, calling him a failure for having to join another village in order to become stronger, but Naruto ignores him, remaining focused. He keeps his eyes closed and focuses deep on his blade style. Neji gets in a defensive stance, but with just one swing of his blades, Naruto creates strong winds that send Neji into the arena wall. Naruto then points his blade at Neji. Make sure this is enjoyable for me. Neji activates his Byakugan, but it doesn't seem to work. Naruto has no chakra points for him to close, so how is he this strong? Was that just pure physical strength? No, it had to be something more than that. Naruto slowly walks towards Neji, who tries to prepare himself for anything, but Naruto vanishes in a dark smoke, and the last thing that Neji sees is the hand of Naruto before he slammed into the ground and knocked out in one blow. Naruto then goes to sit back down as he's declared the winner of this fight. The next fight that we get to see is Omui versus Gara. Naruto tells him to take it seriously or he won't be able to win. This opponent is stronger than he thinks. Omui nods and jumps down. The fight begins with Gara throwing out sand as Omui turns his blade to its flat side. That way, the sand could glide right off of it. Then, he rushes in to get closer. More sand comes his way, in the form of a hand, but he flips over it, getting on the side of Gara. Man, what a pain in the ass. Omui grips his blade tighter and continues towards his opponent. The sand suddenly surrounds him and covers him in a sand ball. Everything is silent until the voice of Karui is heard. Omui, if you keep playing around, I'll make sure to kill you before he can. Tamari tells her to shut up, but she then looks at Naruto, who has a serious expression as he would stand up as well. He doesn't even speak. He just releases his bloodlust, and instantly, black lightning breaks through the sand sphere. Jeez, any longer Naruto would have killed me. Anyway, you're Gara from the sand, right? From the fight I watched before, you can't really keep up with high speeds in taijutsu. So let me show you something even faster. Omui looks up towards his sensei, who gives him the approval, as he then stabs his blade into the ground while cracking his neck. Black lightning then begins to surge around his body as he speaks. I wanted to save this for the finals against Naruto, but it seems I won't be able to. Omui enters a black lightning chakra mode. As it covers his entire body, he vanishes from sight, and even the Hokage is amazed at this. A mere genin was able to use a Kage rank technique to this degree. Gara looks around for his opponent but can't find him at all. He's caught off guard, which allows Omui to land a strike against his chest. A flurry of attacks begin to happen from a blur that couldn't be seen. Suddenly, the blade that was stabbed into the ground would vanish as well, as Gara would be slashed across his chest, drawing blood. Before he could react to his own blood, more attacks came his way. As Omui was going all out in this fight, dodging sand without any effort, while also landing deadly strikes. This leads to Gara's partial transformation and the attack on Konoha. Darui gathers his team together and tells them to protect the Leaf Village as best they can. Naruto would understand that this is their chance to help establish a relationship between the Cloud and the Leaf Village. They would go into the forest, where Gara had fully transformed into the one-tailed beast. Omui enters his black lightning form once again, while Karui activates her white lightning cat form, and Naruto transforms as well. This form sported the usual horn and black wing, but now Naruto's arm was covered in darkness and glowed red. His hand was also a claw. Create an opening for me, you two. They nod, and Naruto thanks them. Both of them run up the arms of the tailed beast, dodging sand their way with their insane speeds. Karui then uses her leg to kick through sand behind Omui, who jumps forward, using the black lightning dragon to slice off the arm of the tailed beast, as Karui then shouts out, "Hurry the hell up, Naruto." This is when we see Naruto fly up from the forest, yelling out, "Don't ever rush me again." He swings both his blades, causing dark energy to come off of them and slash Gara across his chest. Once it makes contact, the tail beast crumbles and Gara falls to the ground, bleeding across his chest. Naruto looks at Gara, who is somehow still awake. "Where the hell are you going? Let me kill you already." once you learn to control your own demons, we can fight again. Naruto leaves the area with his team, and eventually the Konoha Crush would conclude with less casualties, but the third Hokage still does perish. The Cloud Shinobi then decide to travel back to their home, and they would leave the leaf for now. As they travel, they encounter two people in robes that would attack them. One of them had red eyes, which set something off within Naruto. Libei's own anger begins to surface on Naruto, with him automatically transforming, and Naruto's entire eye becoming black with his pupil now red and glowing. The horn grew out further as well, and his wing was bigger but seemed more chaotic. A voice would then speak that wasn't Naruto's own. He lifts his head up, looking towards Itachi Uchiha, asking a simple question. Where is the masked man?